Mi havas alvenas. Do, lezu nin ludas. Ludo. Hi, everybody. I'm Heath himself. This is Heath himself streams. I haven't been streaming very often because of a lot of chaotic life stuff, and also, I had to. My computer reboot that I did last time to fix everything was kind of a poor reboot. It didn't really fix a lot of stuff. It kind of made me run out of room real quick, and so I had to do it all over again and do it properly. And as a result, that also took a lot of time. But I'm back, I'm here, and I'm really testing the stream to make sure everything streams fine and all that stuff, you know what I mean? So, we're going to do that with a little bit of speed. A little bit of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I might be taking up too much room right now on my screen with my face size and all that stuff. You know how I mean.
Woohoo! Here we go.
I beat, I got the star on all stages, all cups. So. I'm gonna do a little online. See how I hold up. Well, do I have any friends playing right now? Nope. So we're gonna do a little bit of online. The dizzle for shizzle. Hello, everybody. Oh, I kind of had the sun pass. Oh, because my shirt's very green. I didn't notice that when I put it on this today. I have the earth passing through me. My earth is the shirt, and my shirt is the earth. Still need to get some things set up on the OBS overlay. I need to correct some things. For the most part, I think it works pretty well. I'm hoping. I need to change shirts. So I don't have the earth for a shirt. Cypress. Here we go. Let's see if I still got it. Woo! Yeah. That's how you use the mushrooms, baby. Oh. I just used the freaking coin too. French? Netherlands. That's Netherlands. No! Y'all can have that. Slow her down. Oh, guys, slow me down. Jeez. Because I'm going to have to rebuild my viewership a little bit, having not streamed for like 2 weeks. It is unfortunate, but kind of had to be the way it was. No! I still got second, I think. Yes. I'll take it. Hope the gameplay looks smooth to y'all. I really don't remember what I did to get the gameplay smooth back before. Back before in the day. I gotta change my cart. I'm gonna change to me. I'm gonna pick something I haven't picked before. Hello, viewer. We have us return us. Gonna play a little Mario Kart 8. Just a little bit. Testing out the stream, making sure everything works right. My shirt is made of the world. I find that unusual. Because my shirt's very green. My shirt is very green, guys. Him. Oh, it's France. Okay. I don't know what the Netherlands looks like then. What was that? Never heard that noise before. Woohoo! Whoa! Come on. Whoa. This doesn't turn very well. I'd say everyone's firing everything at me. I can't seem to get the friggin' slide to work. Drift. Well, this is not a good cart combination, apparently. Whoa. Oh, jeez. I'm just... Turtle shells everywhere. Hey, E-Gear. I'm going to play something else here in a bit. And we're just mainly just testing the stream to see if it's run smoothly on a fast game. I'm hoping it does. Oh, 7th is a lot worse than I was before. Maybe I should go back to my previous card of choice. The French people are winning. Good game! Yay!
Hi.
Let's try this combo. Everybody wants to do Rainbow Road. Who doesn't want to do Rainbow Road? Like Smash for 3DS, we could do that. I need to get that set up too anyway, so yeah. I also need to change my shirt, so my shirt does not become whatever the world is behind me. Which happens to be the world, actually. I have to rebuild my viewership after not streaming for 2 weeks. Kind of sucks. But it was kind of unavoidable. And I also had to restart my computer, or wipe my computer hard drive, which meant I had to rebuild all of this. Oh my god. Giant pain in the neck. Pains in the neck everywhere. Actually, a little pain in my neck because I have a pinched nerve. Oh. But yeah. I'll take it. I like that one. Ah, more French people. No. They're too good at Mario Kart. Oh. That'll get you some stuff. That'll at least get you, stages. I think you can get the full stage bundle for that much. See, this card's much better. Whoa. What happened? I jumped over it. Okay, never mind. Fires. Hi. Dare me to run the whole race like that? Ah. Mr. Richards, your favorite bio teacher. Ew. Whenever I hear the term bio, I think of bathroom. Taking a bathroom break. People used to use that term online. In like online MMORPGs. They used to say things like, be right back bio. And it basically meant, you know, you have to poop. So, was he your favorite poop teacher? Did he teach you everything you know about poop? Oh, there's a whole ramp over there I've never seen before. That just screwed me up entirely, though. Nightshade? Man. I just can't get any acceleration. No! I was doing good that race till the very end. I just let it all go. That was race, what, 3? I'll do 6, maybe. Maybe? I say that. Waka 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 waka. We need more acceleration. More acceleration. I just can't get it. Ugh. I also got the voice chat much easier to work on or work with, and well, I say that. I haven't really set it up fully yet. But it should be easier. I shouldn't have to drag people into the stream. They should be able to get themselves into it. Need for Speed. Pretty much. I had a Need for Speed game. What? Okay, maybe that's the end of that. Let's do a single player. See if we can improve a cup standing on 200. Let's go the Shy Guy. Let's do it. We were gonna do Cloud Top Cruise, so let's just do that one again. We're shooting for 3 stars, which means first place in every track. May not happen. Likely won't. It's 200cc. Actually, I played 200cc a lot now, trying to get the stars on it. And after you play 200cc, you go back to online where it's 100cc. You just kind of feel like you're driving through water. Like it's just... It's not a satisfying experience. Oh, I hit the wrong button. That was also the wrong button. Okay, 4th place is far from 1st. Not ideal. Oh no! That never happens to me. Patience is a virtue in 200cc. Because patience can lead you right into 1st without having to use much of your items. But lots of braking, lots of braking. If it seems like I'm straining, it's because I am. Oh, and my remote desktop died. So I'll have to turn that back on here when the race is over. Until then, I can't see what you're saying. Oh! Whoa! No, 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 no. Ah! I don't even have any coins. Holy cow. It's a good thing speed is not as important as of a stat in 200cc. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Give me something. Give me something. No, I threw it. Ah! I didn't mean to throw it. Oh, I screwed it all up. Damn it. I panicked and threw the turtle shell instead of using it to shield myself. Okay, back to remote desktop. Yeah, pretty much. Melee, though, I played Melee. I've gone back to Melee. I should set that up so I can stream Melee. But, I've gone back to Melee, and it's felt like, the physics weren't right. It almost feels like even though Melee was faster, no one can deny this. Brawl perfected the physics of the weight and everything. So you were a little bit floatier and slower and shit in Brawl, but you moved when you got hit kind of the way you expected to, and also when you hit drop down to go down faster, you sped up, but you didn't drop like you were a freaking anvil, right? And in Melee, I would play as Falco and drop down, and I would hit the floor instantly. It was like dropping a Tetris block or something like that. It was just ridiculous how fast that moved. And I was like, that's not a really good balanced physics for the characters. So the game may have been faster, but the feel of everyone wasn't quite there yet to me. And that's even really worse in Smash 64. Oh, why did I use that? You ever go back to play Smash 64? Oh my god. That's a painful experience. It's nostalgic as hell because of all the bowling pin sound effects that made Smash Brothers to me when I was playing it. But, and we hadn't seen that since 64. They took all the bowling pin sound effects out, which was a bummer. But, yeah, Brawl got the physics down, and then Smash 4 just sped the game back up a little bit, but it's still not as fast as Melee. No, 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 no. Ah. Yeah, but Brawl gets a bad rap. Brawl gets a bad rap because of its speed. It was slow, but it was slow for a reason. The Wii was a system that was introducing all these new players. They had never not just played Nintendo games before, but never played any video games before to a game, and they wanted to sell as many copies of Smash Brothers as possible on the Wii. And so they told them, "Hey, you need to make this game as accessible as humanly possible to people that haven't played video games before." And so he was like, "Okay, I need to make sure they can see what they're doing." And so he slowed it down a lot, really slow. And that's what gets this bad rap. But if you think about Brawl had more music than Melee. It had more characters introduced than Melee. It had, well, the Subspace Emissary is still a gargantuan single-player mode. Gargantuan. It, widescreen still. I would go so far to say that the realism of the effects, the shading and everything, and the texturing that they applied to the characters, even though the power of a Wii is essentially the same power as a GameCube, they're identical. The graphical leap still from Melee to Brawl was substantial, just because in the change of art style and shading of characters and texturing, they had more RAM also on the Wii than they had on GameCube, so they could really put the really good realistic denim texture on Mario's pants and what have you. And in Smash 4, they fell back from that. They were like, you know what, Mario doesn't look that real. let's not give him that much texture on his denim, what have you. But I would still go so far to say that Brawl, some of the character models in Brawl look better than they do just texture wise. Not obviously modeling wise. They have more polygons and stuff like that on Smash 4, especially on the Wii U version. But if you take all that Brawl is as a whole package, it's a better game than Melee. Melee was a rushed game. Things were dropped from Melee, what have you. It had Final Smashes introduced, what have you. But gameplay-wise, yeah, Melee was faster, but it was also a bit... The physics weren't there yet. And Brawl really was the version of the game where they introduced... I mean, they licensed out the Havoc physics engine to make everything flow and run correctly and feel right, finally, for the first time. So, and I don't have anything against Melee. I think Melee is great, and competitive Melee is still awesome. And I disagree with Sakurai when he says competitive Melee will go the way of the dodo. I think the only way competitive Melee will go the way of the dodo is if they create a faster Smash Brothers game than Melee, or a Smash Brothers game that has the balance of Smash 4 and the speed of Melee. If they do that, sure, fine. Melee may not be interesting to people anymore, but even still, I think it will not be interesting to the masses, but there will still be an underground movement of people that are playing Melee. Because there's a historic aspect to it, right? It's like there's people still playing Street Fighter 2. Hyper fighting, right? Yeah, there's Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5 sucks, but when you get a good game like Street Fighter 2 and it has this nostalgic, this was the way it was back then. Don't we all remember it? Who's good at it now still? People still do that. People will still play that. So even on that level, he's still a little bit wrong. I don't have anything wrong with Melee, but it's not my favorite of the versions to play. I really should put those games in. But the Stream Wii, which doesn't have an HDMI input, it has a component. Well, composite or component cables, depending on what you have. I have component cables, obviously, because I do not chintz on quality. I would have to plug in my other Elgato. I have an Elgato Game Capture HD 60, which is what I'm using for this. And the benefit of it is that it can stream 60 frames per second, which a game like Mario Kart 8 uses. But there was also, before that, the Elgato Game Capture HD, which, when it came to the HDMI input, it could only output at 30 frames per second. But it had a component input adapter. So you could put in component and composite cables to it and stream older retro consoles, at a lower resolution, obviously, but at 60 frames per second. And that's what you need for your older retro consoles, and the Wii is about as new of a retro console as you can get before they start to really, go HDMI all the way. And even still, I don't use that thing very much for anything else because I don't really play with the retro. I have a Nintendo 64 that I'll probably use with it because I don't have anything better with that yet. I don't have an emulator set up. But for everything else, literally every other console, I have a Cyber Gadget Retro Freak, which is an emulator console from Japan that is fantastic and will not only emulate games really well, almost perfectly. It has some of the best emulation playback of any emulator console around. But it upscales everything that you play to 720p, which is not full HD, but it's HD. And then my 4K TV upscales that to 4K, but still, that's not that bad because I don't stream in anything higher than 720p. If you ever noticed that, The reason I don't is because the jump from 720p to 1080p in bandwidth is substantial, and you don't really see that much of a sharpness improvement. So basically, yeah, you see sharpness improvement. I'm not going to say you don't, because I do, especially on my QHD screen Samsung Galaxy S7. But the cost, the system resources cost on your computer for streaming it does not justify. Oh my God, where am I going? Wow, okay, I don't even know what happened. Yeah, I actually, every time I've tried to stream 1080p with a game, like, especially a game like this, like Mario Kart 8, one that's fast, oh my God, it just goes, well, you just see a bunch of blocks. There's the bit rate, can't handle it. So yeah, 720p is the max that I stream at least with this current computer. In the future, when, you know, you get even stronger stuff, sure, I'll bump it up. I look forward to the day when I can stream in 4K. That'd be awesome. We're actually coming up, though, on the end of all that. Oh my God. Well, so much for stars. I need to practice this whole cut more. But yeah, that was pretty bad. I'm not awesome at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You want to do a turn on this? I am playing. This is actually not online. This was just me playing a normal cup that I hadn't gotten 3 stars yet on 200cc, and that's why I was doing so poorly. So what do y'all want to do? Y'all want to do the tournament? On 50cc, that's pretty slow. I need to change my shirt so I'm not passing through the couch. Let's see how bad it was. I only got first place on Bowser's Castle. I don't even remember doing it because I was talking through it. I need to practice that one a lot. Special Cup sucks. Oh, nice try. See, 4th place. That's not even. You don't qualify for anything. You qualify for a Lakitu. Lakitu. Clapping for you. Oh. What kind of tournament do you want to do then? Do I game on PC? I do game on PC. I haven't done it in a while. In fact, the last time I tried it, I was trying to stream Alien Isolation, and I would start it, and then the game would crash. I don't know why. But, I do have PC games, and I can stream on PC. Let's do online, and just do a tournament here. Well, there's the Heath himself tournament. Is that a weekly thing? I think it's a weekly tournament. If you get a star on at least every cup from 50cc to 200cc, it will unlock rotating backgrounds on your title screen. So if I go back to it, it won't be Bowser. It'll be someone else. Oh, I need to go back up there, though. Oh, yeah, it is still Bowser. There you go. Let me close the game. Open it back up, and it won't be Bowser. Oh. Friend request? Justin, 207. with an Inkling. He plays Mario Kart 8 and Super Bomberman R. Cool. I don't have Super Bomberman R yet. Here's my profile. I'm really partial to the Miis. I think the Miis are one of the greatest things Nintendo ever came up with. And I know they're trying to move away from the Wii and everything with the Switch, but I just don't feel good about abandoning the whole Mii thing. I feel like I have an obligation to show my Mii and my creative side in creating a Mii that looks like me. So when I have all my friends here that have Inklings, and Tia Marie just has the Hylian crest, and Wheelie has Zelda, and Mel has Marie, and Husky Melt has Link. You know, I'm like, that's a little bit disappointing. I like guys that do that and that. You know, they get their Miis on there. They represent. And this dude, he has his Rick Sanchez character, you know? That's cool to me. I would give my character a weird expression, but if you've noticed, maybe you don't notice, it doesn't look right anymore when I change the expression. Like, what's that? What? I guess if I were to do change facial expression and the pose, it would work more, right? Like, I don't even know what that would do. Hey, baby. Smell a whore Inkling? No, that's Marie. I would say a whole year with winter. And you might think I'm strange with this, right? But I work outside. My day job is I go to car lots and I repair chips and windshields. So I'm exposed to the elements. In the winter, it is cold and it's near freezing, and I'm out there in it for 6 hours. And in the summer, it is 90 degrees to 100 degrees, probably hotter inside the cars. The sun is beating down on you. There's no cloud coverage. You're getting fried by UV rays. And if you haven't worn sunscreen. And I can tell you two things I realized from this. In the summer, if I am hot, there's pretty much no goddamn way I can cool down. We have a giant shop fan, but we have not found a way, me and my dad, to get the thing out on the car lots and powered mobily, right? It seems it takes so much power to run a shop fan, something a huge fan, that to cool you off, we can't run it. We'd have to get a deep cell car battery and attach it to a transverter, a DC to AC current transverter, and hope to God it has the juice necessary for the wattage and voltage and everything, the requirements of the fan. It's a lot of money. On the flip side, if you're cold, you just put more clothes on. I've gone out in almost close to freezing temperatures in layers of Under Armour leggings and underwear stuff, thermal underwear, and then 2 or 3 shirts and pants on top of it, and a Carhartt, canvas, like this. The Carhartt coat is like this, made of this canvas. It's almost like the material made out of a tent, right? It's like this hard fabric, like you could stab it with a knife and it might not cut. Like, that's how hard this stuff is. Wind hits it and it's like nothing hit you. You don't even feel it. So it's way, way easier to stay warm or stay at a temperature that's comfortable in the winter than it is to stay at a temperature that's comfortable in the summer when things get out of hand. And so I'm of the opinion that I would prefer a year long of winter as opposed to summer. But that's just my answer. I'm sure people will have other explanations as to what they're after. Also, we must point out that I'm a Caucasian. And technically speaking, or at least one of the theories, was that my ancestors came from the Caucasus Mountains. And they lived in essentially caves during the Ice Age and had no constant cloud coverage and no sun, and that's why we're white. Because the less pigment you had in your skin, the more you could absorb some sort of light from the sun in that environment and to create vitamins for yourself, what have you. And so really, I think it might even just be ingrained in me genetically to be like, no, give me the cold over some freaking Sahara environment. I feel like if I went to like Africa or someplace where the sun is just, I've had the sun here where I thought was brutal. I don't even want to imagine what it would be like in Africa or like the Amazon or something like that, or the desert for that matter. I would die. I would roast, and I would not die from just heat exhaustion. I would die from UV radiation frying my skin. It would be a terrible experience. So there you go. There's my answer. Long, drawn-out answer. But here we go. We're going to go back to that. And I was going to show you. Well, that's true. That's the big.
Here we go.
You're looking at the bigger picture on that, I guess, what it is. Most people think about, when you ask them what they would prefer, they think about their own comfort versus what will be good for society and the world. But there you go. There's Rosalina. So let's do online. I'm going to do tournaments. Let's head to the Heath himself tournament. Or there's also the Nintendo of America Battle-a-thon, which is going on right now. And the Nintendo of America 150cc tournament. Cops and Robbers, Mario Kart 8. These are all popular ones. High voltage 150cc. The IGN Mushroom Cup. These are all interesting. I didn't know there was that many tournaments you could just kind of find so easily. But I think global warming is a hoax. No. I would say no. And the reason is because I don't need them to show me evidence of what's going on. I understand conceptually what they're saying. And conceptually speaking, you don't even need... They have evidence that's going on, right? So that's beside the point. They have evidence, their evidence. The climatologist and all the scientists in all the scientific fields, essentially, except for perhaps meteorology, says, we trust these guys. We know what they're doing. We've checked their work. And even though we're not climatologists, we understand what it takes to be a climatologist, and we can follow the data, and the data makes sense. So I'm with them on that. I don't even have to question that. But even if we didn't have data, they could still present to me the argument of, do you know what a greenhouse does when you're making food? Right? A greenhouse just stores heat and just makes the environment that the plants and things that they're growing in a much more tropical, brighter, more energy efficient and warmer environment that's easier for those plants. Those plants are known to grow fruit and what have you in hotter, more tropical regions. That's what a greenhouse is. That's all it is. But then you look at in our solar system, we were supposed to have 2 habitable planets. People don't realize this. We have two habitable planets in the Goldilocks zone, quote unquote, where there should be water. Here, Earth. Actually, technically 3. Earth, Mars, and Venus. Mars has liquid water, but not in large amounts, because Mars is very small compared to Earth. Earth is like this big ball. Mars is like a quarter of the size, or half the size. We're actually not sure why, because it should be bigger. Mars lost a lot of mass somewhere along the way, and we don't know where it went. But that's one of those mysteries of solving the solar system. The problem with Mars being smaller is that smaller means it doesn't have a lot of what we would call fissionable material. So in that case, we're talking about uranium, plutonium, very rare metals. They're very dense and heavy metals that when you're forming a planet, they sink to the center, and from the force of gravity, they begin to create nuclear fusion, which is the same thing going on inside the sun. And nuclear fusion is a very slow, very hot process that heats the inside of the planet and keeps all the magma swirling, right? You want your magma to swirl. It creates plate tectonics. So, volcanoes happen, the continents move, stuff stirs, which is pretty nice. But more importantly, what we have found is that when you take liquid iron, which is essentially what the mantle is, the magma and all that stuff, the vast majority of the Earth essentially is liquid iron, and you spin it, it creates a magnetic field. Why? I don't understand. I don't really understand electrodynamics that much, but it's just a thing that does. It's the surefire way that if you want to make a electromagnetic field, you're gonna take iron, you're gonna heat it up, and you're gonna twirl it around in a big circle. And the radioactive material in the core of the Earth does that. That's very important, because as it does that, it creates a magnetic field around the Earth. That magnetic field around the Earth shields the Earth from the vast majority of the radiation that comes and hits the planet. Most of the particles and stuff from the sun that comes our way gets deflected off of us from that magnetic field. Mars had one. We know it did, because it had some fissionable material in the core. But because Mars is like half the size of the Earth, if not less, actually, I think a little bit, all its fissionable material that it had cooled a hell of a lot quicker than ours cooled, right? So when it cools and it stops, the magma inside the planet slows and cools and stops. The force field around the planet essentially just disperses and goes away, and all of a sudden, all the stuff that hit, all those particles from the sun that were hitting Mars and were being deflected like they were on Earth, start hitting Mars, and they start to rip away at the atmosphere. They hit the gases in the atmosphere, and they just peel it off, like peeling off layers of dead skin. And without the pressure from the atmosphere, all the weight of all the air pushing down, the liquid water on Mars could not stay liquid. You have to have not just a nice sort of temperature for liquid water, but also a pressure for it. Because if you don't have enough pressure, water begins to boil away into a gas. And that's what happened on Mars. Mars had oceans of liquid water, and it had plate tectonics. We know this because we look at the surface and we see magma flows and lava and all kinds of things, and basins where there were lakes and seas and oceans, and it's all gone. And we will wait, what happened? And we look at the atmosphere, and it's just this smidgen this little smidgen of something left. It's almost non-existent. And we go, oh, its core died because it ran out of fissionable material. So, Mars, no longer habitable. Probably wasn't habitable for us to begin with because of perchlorates, which we only just recently found out exist on Mars. But on Earth, perchlorates are very rare. It's a kind of toxic, salt, essentially. And it doesn't take much of it to kill you. A very small amount of it actually can screw up your nervous system. Really just make you itch, and it's just not good. Something like 10% of the soil on Mars is perchlorates. So even if we were to terraform Mars, right? Even if we were to take water to Mars and drop it off there and say, look, Mars has an ocean again. And then it would get all its oxygen from electrolysis, which is where oxygen mostly came from. And the oceans and sea creatures in the oceans. And it would build it back up in oxygen kind of atmosphere. You'd be able to breathe, and you would take your spacesuit off, and then you would lay down on the Martian dirt, and then you'd start to have a seizure and die, because Mars is covered in poison, and there's nothing we can do about it. So, hold your horses when it comes to going to Mars. But more importantly, getting back on track as to why that was just why Mars is no longer habitable. There is another problem. Something went hella wrong with Venus. Venus is the same exact size as Earth, pretty much. Not exact, but it's close enough to where you might as well say, relatively speaking, exact. It's closer to the sun. It should be more tropical, right? It should be better. It should have had better chances for life. Something with Venus went really wrong. And our best hint is in how Venus rotates. All the planets in the solar system rotate in the same direction. Because they all came from the whole same spiral galaxy of dust, right? And they're all moving the same direction, they're all coalescing, and that's how it goes. Venus turns in the other direction, and it turns really slowly. Not entirely sure why. It's certainly anomalous, but our best guess is that some other proto-planet, some planet before all the planets had hit each other and congealed into bigger planets, came along and hit Venus in such an angle and with such force that it just stopped Venus's tremendous spin that it probably had to 0 miles an hour and spun it back the other way just a little bit. And that is problematic. Problematic for a lot of reasons. Firstly, you got some pretty rough winds. Actually, not really. That was wrong. I'm thinking of another planet. You have the winds on Mars are not the problem. The winds on Mars are basically non-existent because the spin of the planet it's so slow. The problem with Mars is the air pressure. Venus. There's so much density in air that if you were to be on Venus and not burn to a crisp, the air is so thick that you would feel moving your arms around like you were moving through molasses. The air is so thick it's almost like water, or thicker than water, like honey. It would be a terrible feeling. And that's only if you could survive that. The bigger issue with all of that is that there's another greenhouse gas. You want to guess what the greenhouse gas is? We have carbon dioxide, right? We're pointing that out as a greenhouse gas. That's what we're all concerned about. Carbon dioxide. What's the big bad greenhouse gas? It's worse than carbon dioxide. Hydrogen and 2 molecules of oxygen. H2O, water. Water is worse for as a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. And being that close to the sun, being closer to us, it started to have a bit of an issue. The planet, tectonically speaking, not spinning very much, pumped out a bunch of carbon dioxide that made, from the volcanoes, that made a big cloud that shielded in some heat for the planet. Things started to get hotter. Not too terrible of an issue, but it's a terrible issue when you have oceans of water, because heat makes oceans of water evaporate, oceans of water add to the atmosphere, and all of a sudden you have an even bigger atmosphere, a thicker atmosphere than you had before, composed entirely of both carbon dioxide and water molecules that take all that heat from the sun, and it hits the surface and goes up to the clouds and hits the surface and goes back down and gets trapped in this basically endless cycle of bouncing around. You just took Earth and you covered it in like 2 million blankets. All right? What happens? You just turned Earth into an oven, a literal oven. The surface of Venus is 800 degrees. Some of the biggest achievements in human engineering, bar none, are the Soviet, I believe they're the Mariner? No, they're the, what are they called? I forgot what they were called. What they were called. They're like the Venusian probes. The Soviets wanted to know, we were heading, let's go to Mars, or at Mars. Well, we did send some things to Mars, but we got to the moon first. And so the Soviets said, screw you guys. We're going to go check out Venus. And they sent some things to Venus, and it was really bad, because everything just burnt to a crisp as it entered. And one of the greatest achievements of all human engineering was to create, when the Soviets created a probe that descended with parachute and all, intact, to the surface of Venus, took pictures, transferred that data back to the Earth, and survived transmitting pictures and soil samples and data about what Venus was like for about 45 minutes before it just fucking melted. We're talking about heat at 850 degrees and pressure per inch on you, on every inch of your body, the weight of a car. That is what a greenhouse effect does to your planet. And it all starts with your volcanoes coughing up too much carbon dioxide, or something else coughing up too much carbon dioxide. Perhaps your industrial system and your cars and all that stuff. So, and that's just common sense. It's just you can do it. You can make a greenhouse, a big, just a building, whatever, and test it. Put some water in buckets and stuff like that. Pump in a little bit of carbon dioxide, a little bit higher than what you would recommend. Your greenhouse will take off like a rocket to the point where you don't want to step into it. And yeah. So global warming, it's a thing. You don't need a lot of data. They have a lot of data to prove it. You don't even need it, because if you just use your head, and look around, look at what happened to other planets that should be like ours. Not good. But anyways, you got me off on science stuff. And I love science stuff. I love space stuff. I love quantum physics. Hocus Pocus, hello. That's not really a lecture. I don't like the term lecture, because the term lecture comes off to me as like I'm saying you're wrong or something, and I'm not saying anyone's wrong. I'm just teaching stuff. So, anyways, I'm enjoying this. Have y'all been staring at this nonstop? Y'all got the code for this? 1485-6186-2187. Because that's what I'm jumping into. Oh. It's closed. I'll have to delete it then. Okay, what do you guys want for rules? Fart can be greenhouse gas. Fart is methane, so it'll definitely be a greenhouse gas. I went to college. I got a bachelor's degree in fine art with a concentration in graphic design and a minor in art history. So it's a very long title. It essentially means I'm very good at art, or I should be. However, I can't make any money at it because, well, I specialize in graphic design, and graphic design is one of the most competitive fields around. But I know my art history. I know my graphic designs and Photoshop and all that stuff. I also have an above average IQ. People have told me that it is poor taste to say what the number is, because I make other people feel bad, or I make myself look bad if people are higher. So I try not to say the number, but it is above average. And really, if I just have an interest, if something is weird, I want to know how it works. I have curiosity. I want to learn things. So that just keeps going. No, you can't have an IQ of 999. IQ goes up to 200, but the closer it gets to 200, the less accurate it is, right? Because it's just not there. The difference between someone with an IQ of 160 and 170 is really low. They can even probably improve their IQ in a week or so. So they don't dwell on that very much. Albert Einstein had an IQ of 160. He's largely considered the smartest guy around, or smartest guy that ever was around. He had a weird brain, so I think he cheated. But I'm glad he cheated, because we have general relativity for it. I'm a big space nerd. 80 is not a necessarily good IQ. 100 is average. When you start getting down to 90 and 80, it just means you don't know a lot. And I do believe if you're in like the 60s and stuff, it should be pretty obvious that you have mental issues, like mental disabilities. No, I never say failed math. I think he was pretty good at math, actually. What he had was an underdeveloped part of his brain, specifically related to speech. So he didn't actually learn how to speak until he was like 3 or 4. He was very slow at learning how to speak. But the other parts, because of that underdeveloped part, the other part of his brain was larger, and that happened to be the part, not the math, but visual imagination, visualizing things, and that's what he was good at. Really, more so than even math, but he was very good at math. Exceptionally good for what he was. Usually, he was a physicist, a theoretical physicist at that. And usually, if you have a theoretical physicist and you were to put them up against a mathematician, someone whose job is not to come up with physics, but to put numbers together and add them and crunch them and solve these impossible to calculate numbers, the mathematician wins. Because a physicist is good, but he's an idea guy. He's not really a math guy. Albert Einstein gave a lecture on one of his ideas for general relativity and said it, and sitting in the audience was a mathematician, actually possibly the greatest mathematician alive at the time. And he saw what Einstein said he was playing with equation-wise, but that he wasn't done yet. And he looked at it and went, I can fix that. I can solve that. And he went home and started to do math. And then someone ran to Albert Einstein and went, did you know what's his face? The mathematician, the greatest mathematician in the world, is trying to solve your equations before you do? And Einstein went, "Ugh," and sat down and just hammered out at his equations. And he beat him. He beat the greatest mathematician in the world at solving his equations faster than he would. So a physicist beat a mathematician at math. And that physicist was Albert Einstein. So Albert Einstein was not bad at math. He was very, very good at it. But, what made Albert Einstein good was that part of his brain that was larger for visualization. He was able to put himself in these, what he called thought experiments, where he would imagine what it would be like to be on an elevator in space, or what have you, and what it would feel like. And that informed his whole idea that Newtonian physics was not rigid and all over the place, but Newtonian physics changed based on who you were, where you were, what system you were in, how fast it was moving, how fast you were moving, and that therefore physics was not absolute but relative to each person. He wrote his theory of special relativity, and then followed it up with his theory on general relativity, which basically outlines that his interpretation that gravity is actually literally the effect of the curvature of space-time, of mass and matter, upon the framework of the universe. You take a big sun, you stick it in the universe, and it's going to curve the universe around it because it weighs a lot. And that curve is what we feel is gravity. And that just when everyone's mind just went. And more so than that, he also then said, funny thing, light always travels at one speed. And it doesn't matter if you're going faster. You can't keep up with light. You can't pass light. Even if you are going faster than you were before, light will still look like it's going at that one speed and ahead of you. You can't catch up to it, which means that the faster you go, for you, the slower time has to travel for you. So time is relative to speed, which means, and space, essentially. If you're in a portion of higher gravity, time will run slower. Or higher. No, slower. So that informed to him that space and time were interlinked, and not two separate ideas of the spatial and the temporal, but that time itself was actually a component of the fabric of the universe. That it was another dimension, perhaps. And in fact, he went on. He was the guy that said the great phrase, "Time is the fourth dimension." We have first, second, third dimension. We live in the third dimension, and the fourth is time. And he says it's just another spatial dimension in the fabric of the universe. And so he therefore decided that we need to stop calling it space and start calling it space-time. The space-time continuum. So we do. You ever hear the word space-time continuum? We're talking about the universe and all of it. Both where you can go and when you can go. He was a very smart dude. All because he had a weird brain. And he had a lot of time to think. But as smart as he was, he didn't like quantum physics in the slightest. It insulted him. It went against his belief system when it came to nature. And so he never really contributed as much as he could have to quantum physics. The next step past his own theory. Because he didn't dig it too much. And I can tell you why he didn't dig it, but that's just me giving more lectures non-stop. And I like to race a little bit here. What is the tournament code? I have played Universe Sandbox. I don't understand how it works though. Give me 1 second. Normal comms. I'll let you use smart steering if you want to. That's just gonna hurt you. 200cc. We're gonna do 150cc. Yes, you can, sir. Do you have a Switch? Because we're playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on Switch. And this is the code 1485-6186-2187. If you send me a friend code, if you haven't, that'll help. Hi, Matt. Cool. And that's your number. I guess I should type that number in here, shouldn't I? What? Did I not save all the changes I made? I must have not changed the bright date. You want me to add you? Why can't you add me? My code's up there at the top of the screen. Always has been. You can only play ARM Global Test Fire at certain events and times. I think they've taken it off the eShop now. So I don't think they're going to be doing it anymore. I think I still have it on my menu, but if I fire it up, it just gives me the title screen, and then if I try to go further, it'll say the game doesn't work anymore. Join.
Hi.
I did not know that. That makes no sense. I don't believe in the Mandela effect. I believe it's just people that hear things wrong and remember it wrong. You don't need. You only need a very little bit of information for your brain or for your mind to start filling in the gaps for a memory. And that's essentially what the Mandela effect is. That's what people claim. But I don't think it's accurate. Probably not, actually. Done a lot of talking, so now I'm being quiet. Haha. That sucks. Damn. Really? This normal computer is pretty tough. Crap. This is not a good showing out of me. Of course, when you get far in the back, everything starts to hit you. That's pretty rough. Elvaro is the dry bones. I gotta change my cart. I thought this would be a good cart. Apparently not. Cheese land. Not regular. I mean, no. I wouldn't say people walk around saying the N-word. I think it's pretty it's probably less common in the South. I mean, unless you are black. If you are black, you can say it, apparently. That's what the social rules are. But if you're not, no one says it. Everybody using the buggy cart. Everybody's figured out the buggy cart. It's awesome. And I agree. The buggy cart. Little, what is that thing called? I call it the buggy cart, but I don't really know what its name is. It's the best cart. But I also feel like it makes the game too easy. Like I feel like I ought to test myself with other carts. And get better at them. Oh my goodness. Son of a monkey. Ooh. I'm not used to this sport bike drift. Oh my god. Where'd he go? Oh my god. Well, this is the only direction I can go in. Wow. It's pretty rough. Whoa! That's not what I wanted at all. That's not it either. Oh my god. Oh, we're dead. That was terrible. I just gave everyone behind me the opportunity they were waiting for. Oh, the only guy that can fall off with him. Ooh, third place, but not even close. Not even close to you guys. I'm not giving up on my Yoshi Kart. But maybe it does need different tires. The boat has better stats? I'm terrible at the boat. Abortion is a complicated issue because there's pros and cons on both sides. Obviously, people can say that there's no distinguishable point in which a fetus becomes a baby, and therefore, you know, you really can't take the chance that you're killing someone, or infanticide, even. But then also, you have to think about the societal repercussions of going through with a pregnancy you're unprepared for. Most people that get abortions get them because they got pregnant, and they're not in a financial situation that would allow them to support a family. Now, you might say, so what does that mean? Who cares? It's actually kind of a bigger issue. It's not like it's not your problem. It's actually our problem, because what happens when you have, you know, a single mother who has to go to work in the day and at the night, working multiple jobs, what have you. So she can't be there to watch the kid. She can't be there to raise the kid. She can't be there to make sure the kid does his homework. She can't be sure to make sure the kid is even going to school. The kid ends up skipping school and joining a gang because he feels like he's lacking family and father figures, and the older gang members will fill that for him. And he then becomes, illiterate, not educated, not intelligent to the point to be able to get a good paying job. He's stuck in the economic class that he's in, and he's running with a crowd of dangerous people that have guns and actually think that it's their moral obligation to use those guns against people who disrespect them. And disrespect is actually, could mean anything from, that guy owes me 5 cents and he hasn't paid me back. Bam, bam, bam. That sort of thing. That creates organized crime on a level of stupidity that's dangerous all across the country. Essentially because there was a birth that could not be supported. And could not be stopped. So you have to weigh the pros and cons. Is killing one person before they're really born a bad thing? Pretty much. That guy, that baby, that fetus, doesn't have a way to speak for itself and defend itself. But is that worth the chance of destroying society by having a whole bunch of people that are raised on the streets in poor conditions, no education, and no family? Teach them what a family structure, atomic family structure, should be, and American values in the American way. That, in the long run, can do a lot more damage to society. I actually think we've seen it do more damage to society, because, you know, over here in the United States, there used to be
such a thing as the black family. You had, they were probably in the lower class, obviously, and they were discriminated against, but they had the fathers and the mothers and the kids and family structures, and people were raised, and they knew about what the law was and what the right thing was to do, and morality and what have you. And as we've gotten more and more willing to say that an atomic family structure is not needed, women don't need men to have babies. They don't need fathers in their lives. It's okay. The government will assist you with money and handouts. Well, yeah, they'll assist you with money, but the government won't be there for your kid, right? Your kid needs someone to help raise him, and he's going to find someone that probably is not qualified to do it. And that has only resulted in an increase in gang activity and really the amount of people in jails, and specifically it's harmed the black community. It's harmed the white community too. There's white people that suffer from the same sort of thing, but not on a level. The numbers for the black community are monstrous. They're horrific, and it didn't 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it didn't used to be this way. So it's gotten it. I attribute it back to this idea that it's okay for you to get pregnant, keep the baby, and raise it without you or a father at home. That creates essentially unbalanced, uneducated, skillless people roaming the streets of society, looking for something to do, and most likely it will be something stupid that will get someone killed and hurt. And so I have to sit there and say, do I like abortion? No, I don't like abortion. I wish we didn't have to have abortion. But I also don't like the idea of not being able to abort something that is not going to turn out good in the end. You know what I mean? It's going to hurt everyone as a whole the more it grows. You can sign the baby up for adoption, but there's not a lot of people adopting. So they just get, sent around in foster homes and foster care, and that does not result in a much better situation. There's a lot of people that they are sent around through the foster care system, and they are really psychologically messed up because they can't root themselves as having a family they belong to, or anyone that relies on them, or any obligation to society or a family unit on a whole. Why should they? They'll just get ripped out from wherever they settle down and invest their emotions into, and move someplace else. So there's problems with that too. Not to say that everyone that goes into foster care comes out psychologically damaged, but it's not unheard of. And you really just don't know what a foster care house is going to be like, really. So, I think people should adopt, and more often. But at the moment, unfortunately, we don't need that. We don't need adoptions because everyone's getting pregnant all the time. And keeping babies because they can't support it. So it's... Are you kidding me? Man, I'm not doing well. .97% of the time is a pretty high number. And I would go so far to say that when they fail, it's probably for obvious reasons. Wrong size, you know. Sometimes people put on 2 condoms thinking that's better. It's not. It's worse. It causes tears. Basically, condom illiteracy. Lack of condom education. Uh-oh. First place. I don't know. I really don't have the time. I'm just kind of winging it as I go. I need to change my shirt. I'm gonna drop out of this one though, and change my shirt. Probably change the game. There's Rosalinda for you. I'll be right back.
Hey guys, sorry about the delay. I went downstairs just to get something to drink, but then as it turns out, I have something to do. So I'll stop the stream for now. I'll be back later for some 3DS. See ya. Bye.